Links or tags in your Zettelkasten system. Which one should you use? Why? What are the benefits, drawbacks of either approach? And how do I use them? That's what we're going to cover today. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone. If you're new here, my name is Bryan Jenks, and today I'm going to be talking about why I use links as my tags, and tags are basically just indicators of status for my Obsidian vault. Why do I do that? What are the benefits? What are the drawbacks? It's a question I get asked a lot, or that comes up very often in the Obsidian forum, and I'm going to cover today why I chose this approach and how it benefits me and where potential drawbacks might lie for you if you choose to use this. So as I said, I have this question asked of me a lot, and I do have a frequently asked questions repo on GitHub where people can just file issues, basically ask me questions, and then people can either help out or I can just answer them, and anyone can just refer to all of my prior answered questions and have a one-stop shop for that type of stuff. Now, I've answered the question here about what the benefits and drawbacks are of using tags versus links and why I choose to use links as my quote-unquote tags. And basically my unique approach for this, that I think I was the first one to start doing this. I'm not sure, doesn't really matter, but this is the approach I chose to use, and I'm going to show you and tell you why. So a little bit of context and background. There is an individual in the Obsidian forums who now also has a YouTube channel and Obsidian course named Nick Milo, who I believe is the one who developed the term MOC, or map of content. And I really like that approach, and I have already implemented this in my system, and I really think it's a really great approach for managing a digital garden, Zettelkasten, evergreen note, forest, whatever. And because of that way that system works, I have sort of adapted to my vault to use tags differently to support MOCs and the usage of MOCs and effectively using them. Now, why and how are the usage of tags and links different in this respect with Obsidian? So in Obsidian, when I first started the system, tags didn't even display on the graph. So it was already a benefit in that regard. But now it's not really, it's neither here nor there, but I do like the separation because tags display with a different color, or at least you can set them to display with a different color on the graph. Now, when I use tags, you can see that I have this one here for a tree. I've talked about in my comprehensive workflow video that the tree and the emoji tags are basically indicators of status. So the reason why I use links as status instead of like actually linking related things like neurology, flow state, mental health, or whatever, like the productivity, whatever the tags might be, however you typically might use, hashtags. I use emojis and status for this because the tags do not link files to each other. Basically, they are soft links. So if I link a lot of things to this tree tag here, then that means that there's basically no filter. It's all the things that are tagged with that tree emoji, or in this case, as an evergreen note. I can use this and find all of my evergreen notes. That's really cool. And I could say, hey, if I want to open up my graph view, and I want to only see the tags for the evergreen notes, then I can easily find all of my evergreen notes that I have in my vault. That's a really quick way of filtering based on status. Now, that's useful, but really what I really like is it's able to help me filter down on, say, hey, all of my notes that are currently in a status of they're brand new seedlings or they're in the incubator, which means I need to follow up, flesh them out, connect them to other nodes in the vault, then that's easy for me to just go back and click on that and then see a list of all those items. Now, I could just use text of saying, open up that text of like unread or in progress, and I could do that, but this is the approach I prefer. Now, I mentioned it already, but tags are a soft link. So my evergreen note tag, a little tree here, connects to a large variety of notes across different contexts. So this one is like, about ADHD, but I could have a note way over there about C++ programming, completely unrelated to any of this material. And it's also an evergreen note. So in that respect, the soft link is just like a giant umbrella over all things of a given status in this respect. But hard links are what actually link files together for that serendipitous discovery in a Zettelkasten. And the reason why I use links instead of tags as my tag, it gets confusing, but basically the way the tag system in here is just status to me, but links are both links between files, but also links to what I treat as tags. So for instance, if I actually take this note into preview, you can see that some of these are grayed out, basically. This means that these files don't exist. On the graph, you can see there are different color nodes, red nodes. That is because these files do not exist in the vault yet. They are referenced. I'm referencing a note named flow state, but the note does not exist. If I hover over it, you see is not created yet, does not exist. Why do I do this? So over time, as I have a large swath of notes in my vault, if I, over time, reference something very often and link it, quote unquote, tag it with a specific tag, like this one, you can see this is a big red node right here. What is that? That's learning. So I might see over time, I'm linking to the quote unquote tag learning quite a lot. Maybe that's a very prominent topic in my vault. If I talk about it a lot and I have a lot of notes linked to learning, I might want to create that note and then promote it to a MOC, a map of content, saying, hey, this is a topic I talk about a lot, so now I'm not going to list out itemize every single note that's attached to this thing, but I might identify prominent areas of subject matter around learning that I have, like, here's an interesting article I read, and then here's one, close deletion and spaced repetition. I might link, say, okay, learning spaced repetition, and have that jumping off point to dive into my material. But that point starts with the MOC, a map of content saying, hey, here is a subject, and here's a lot of jumping off areas to just dive into material. Those different notes that are the material link to other notes and each other in that subject area and context. And that is a great way of starting to traverse your graph, traverse your vault, and serendipitously discover notes you may have forgotten or connections that you did not immediately think of right off the bat. This is a really useful approach in an active spaced repetition practice because you're constantly reviewing notes in your vault, and sometimes it's been a long time since you reviewed it, so it's always fresh in your mind. And so as you look over this, you can easily see which of these red nodes are waiting to be promoted to a status of MOC. So why this is really important and why this is critical to the way I run my vault here is over time, I can see the emerging structure of my content, my vault, my notes, my second brain. I can over time see the emerging structure. And what that means is that I'm not going to say, these are the topics I speak about. It's learning, it's ADHD, it's programming. Those are not the topics that I say I need to list things. These are the topics I talk about. So any new note I create needs to fall within one of my predefined categories, or else I don't know where it goes. No. In my file explorer here, you see I don't have any folders beyond just utility. My daily journal goes there, which is the daily notes, pictures, templates, and then this is some stuff about like content creation, Medium, articles, and YouTube videos. But beyond that, my actual notes are not set up in a structured folder hierarchy. There is no hierarchy. It's all just a top-level pool of notes. So how do you organize and deal with that? Well, as your notes and your vault reach critical mass, too many notes to really manage and easily find what you're looking for, yes, we have search, yes, we have tags, depending on how you use them, but as you reach critical mass, you're going to start needing some level of structure, not necessarily like nested folders to the nth degree where all of your notes must fall. That sort of management of your vault becomes to the point where it's too much of an encumbrance. It's too much friction for you to create and get notes made and connected when you're constantly just trying to sort and file them in the correct location based on the taxonomy that you set for yourself. So in my opinion, that is not a great approach when you're trying to build a system like this. So as you go about this and you tag these notes that don't exist, so if I go back, I might tag learning here or flow state or neurology, whatever. They don't exist yet, but when I start to see that a lot of things are connected to them, I might say, that is a piece of material. That is a topic, a subject I really need to pay attention to, promote to a MOC, and start connecting to my web of maps of content. And what this can look like, let me see if I can find one here. Productivity, I think, is one. So I might just make the note and not actually do anything with it yet. For instance, like I can say, okay, I made the note, it now exists, but over time, it might just be a tag node. So I could say, hey, a lot of things are connecting to this, like learning. So let's actually go to the graph and say, hey, we're going to find learning again. It's very prominent and easy to find because I'm connecting to it a lot. Okay, learning. If I click this red node, it will create that file. So now we have the file learning. And now if I open up the graph, yes, a lot of things are connected to this. So what I might do is say, hey, this node exists now, but it's still a tag node. It's not like an actual map of content yet. So I might give it a tag. So now, as a status indicator, I can say, hey, I have a lot of things that are status indicators of tag nodes, and maps of content are the map tags here. So if I click the tag nodes, you can see I have some things in here that are actually tagged as potential MOCs over time. And I might graduate them. Maybe I might wait a little bit longer. But in the meantime, now it exists. Either way, it doesn't really matter. So one thing you can do is use that system, see the red nodes get larger over time, promote them to a MOC directly, or just say, hey, that's getting pretty big. I want to make sure I pay close attention to that over time, tag it with a tag status indicator, and now it's here. When I can review these, I can say, yeah, I'm ready to add these to my MOCs. And so then I can say, okay, let's add it to the MOCs like this. And an example of some of these MOCs are like, let's see here. I have one for, let's do business. So I can go to business, and then here's a bunch of different, jumping off points into my business MOC. I have a link back to the main index. I have a bunch of other topics, strategies, different things about business that I might look at. And this is how I use a MOC. C++ is a very large fleshed out one for my class, so I could easily link to different things. And the reason why this is really great is you can see like I'm traversing those MOCs that way is that links between the MOCs, because they're all categorized as MOCs, they have this status indicator. Why is that important? We'll get to that. But now I can easily traverse backwards. So it's like going forwards in a browser and then the back button. C++ is a programming language. Programming is one of my interests. Interests is listed on my index as a jumping off point of MOCs. So these different MOCs at different levels of granularity link to each other. And because they're all tagged with that quote unquote hashtag or my status indicator, if I go to my graph and I want to filter, let's remove everything here. Actually, let's just leave it so you can see exactly how I do this. So tag, I'm going to do a map. So a map, and this is now searching for my maps of content that have the map tag, the way tags are typically used. So now I have a bunch of stuff here. Let's remove attachments. Let's remove tags. What this lets me do is see a connected web of just my maps of content. And this way I can easily see a giant macro view of my vault broken down. So I can see all the topic and subject areas broken out. I don't have to have these all linked in a specific, nested bullet point level on a specific page or anything. I could just tag them with that status indicator, and now I can see them all connected to each other because they all have backlinks to their prior MOCs. So C++ connects to programming. Programming is an interest of mine, and interest is one of the major topic areas or giant meta categories of life, my life, interests, programming, C++. And over time, as you see all these notes get added to your vault, you promote different MOCs up to MOC status, and you find a way where they fit in with their MOC counterparts in here. So necessarily, I could say, hey, learning is a MOC now. I can list out all the critical, large jumping off points within learning, and I could say, where would the learning MOC go? So I could put it under interests, I am interested in learning, or I could put it under personal knowledge management, because you're managing your own personal knowledge, probably by learning new things. And I can identify easily where I might put this MOC, because I don't need to figure out where I'm going to file all of these notes in a bunch of folders. They're attached to their MOC, and subsequently higher levels of MOC, map of content. So this sounds like a lot. It sounds really complex, but when you actually put this into practice, it's really not as difficult as it might appear or seem to be. If you like the type of Obsidian content and the things that I talk about, I do have a brand new newsletter. A link to that is in the description and the pinned comment below. And I plan on sending out like updates on what I'm working on, announcements of different things. And if I ever make like a course around anything, that's where I might be announcing it. So if this interests you, or you want to just see what I'm up to or have a direct line of communication with me beyond my Discord server, which a link to that is also in the description below, then you can join this newsletter and let's chat. So hopefully I'll see you there. In my opinion, using the maps of content and this strategy is critical to managing a vault of notes like this using a top-down structure, or a bottom-up structure where you don't have a nested folder hierarchy. You're not worried about classifying and filtering and sorting and filing all of your notes into different folders and subsets and managing those granularly. It's just, here's a vault, here's a graph, it's all connected. How can I change some certain pieces of metadata to make sure I know where to find things or have a good starting place once those things are established and filed into your Zettelkasten vault? And so as you review material, you make new notes, you have status indicators. Okay, it's a seedling, brand new idea. It's got some content now. I need to flesh it out. Okay, it's ready to be connected to the main vault. Now it's an evergreen note. There you go. And then those connect to different categories: ADHD, mental health, productivity, flow state, whatever your tags are. And then you can graduate those tags to tag notes, to maps of content, and they're filterable in this web of content you have here. And it makes it easier to see a giant meta view of your vault and see how things can be broken down and structured. And I think this is critical when you're trying to manage a system that is just a giant pool, and breaking it down and breaking it out so you can find out where your things are and where you need to be. This allows you to define your structure as you go instead of setting out right from the beginning to, I need 15 levels of nested folders about every single nested layer of material, subject, ideas, and like, you don't need to have a folder for religions and then 2 folders for Eastern and Western religions and then a folder for each religion underneath those categories under those, and then the time periods for. You don't need to do anything like that. It's just, I have a MOC. That MOC is religion. And then you could have different sub-MOC notes linking to those. And you could traverse that in your local or full Zettelkasten Obsidian graph. And this is an easier way of connecting your knowledge and your nodes of knowledge than just having a bunch of folders and trying to figure out where things need to be placed or hunting for something if you've lost it. Yes, we have search in Obsidian, but I think that the cognitive load of having to manage all of that, not only taxonomy, but the filing and management of a nested folder hierarchy it's just too much when you're trying to actually do something in this space, where you're trying to build a webbed network of knowledge. That is, of course, my opinion. Ultimately, these systems are an extension of our own thoughts, our own brains, our own knowledge. If you're going to be building a second brain, Zettelkasten, digital garden, whatever, ultimately, it's a highly personal endeavor. And how you want to do that, how you want to structure it, is completely up to you. This is how I approach things. This works for me, and I think it's a great approach. It might not be right for you. Certain disciplines might have a better way of doing something that suits their discipline, or their approach, or their goal. My goal is to have a second brain of all of my knowledge, not just a traditional Zettelkasten where it's only my ideas after reading literature notes. I have programming notes in here. I have certain pieces of information and pictures and things that I want in here for specific reasons. But overall, I have ways of getting to that. Like, I could say, programming right here is a list of all of my MOCs and content and notes around programming that might not be a pure Zettelkasten in essence, like of just my unique ideas after reading literature. But all of those things might come from all the other areas. But I could say, hey, this offshoot of interests, programming and whatever, that's that section. I can traverse that road, go there, and be like, okay, I know I'm not going to be in my traditional Zettelkasten space when I'm in these notes, but it's my second brain. My brain has more than just my own ideas. My brain also has knowledge I've collected from other sources, or factual knowledge, like how vectors and arrays work in C and C++. It's really just a matter of, how do you want to approach this? And how is that approach going to help you reduce friction and cognitive load to actually have a beneficial output and spend less time in configuration and more time in creation of knowledge and notes? So hopefully you found this interesting and maybe even a little bit enlightening. This is how I approach my Zettelkasten taxonomy and the taxonomy of notes, of classifying them into different statuses, into links, into basically how I manage all of this content and still have a good organizational structure, even if it's not a nested folder hierarchy. So hopefully you found this interesting. And before I go, a quick note to the patrons who support this channel. Thank you for your support. Devin, Ed, Hyungjung, Leonardo, Brandon, Klaus, Paul, John, Joel, John, and Alberto. Thank you guys for supporting the channel through Patreon, and anybody else who supports the channel through Buy Me a Coffee, PayPal, or any other supportive methods and efforts. Thank you so much. It makes it very worthwhile to know that people appreciate my work, and if you want to support my work, these are the ways that you can do it donations, Patreon, and watching my videos. So thank you, everyone, and I will catch you all in the next one.